Ой, Тригlav, moj dom, kako si krasan, kako me izbavljaš iz niskih ravna. Po letni vročini na skalne vrhe, da tam si spočinjem samotni srce.
"30 writers have declared in a manifesto published in The Guardian that Europe as an idea is coming apart before our very eyes." You can probably glean from that statement alone which direction this article is taking, but in order to dispel any confusion, they state we must now will Europe or perish beneath the waves of populism. It's no secret exactly who would be worried about perishing under waves of populism, but this statement reeks of intellectualism and elitism in a much, much deeper way. The key here is looking at Europe as merely a set of principles. It's an idea. It's an ideology. It's a way of thinking. It's political liberalism. But the average European, the average bartender, the store clerk, cashier, waitress, garbage man, they don't have the luxury of thinking of Europe in such terms. They think of Europe as the place where they live, where they work, where their families live, the place where they pay exorbitant taxes to. They don't have the time or the luxury of thinking about Europe as an idea. The article goes on to state, Europe will be lost to those who still believe in the legacy of Erasmus, Dante, Goethe, and Comenius. Again, does the average European have the luxury or the time to worry about what Erasmus would think about what they're eating for dinner, or what Goethe would think about their inability to pay their bills because of the exorbitant gas taxes that they're having to pay? Likely not. They claim they've been abandoned by those across the Channel and across the Atlantic. The British who voted for Brexit and the Americans who voted for Donald Trump, respectively, both explicit rejections of globalism. And they wonder, how could they abandon us in such a way? How could they abandon our liberal European ideals? And this really reveals the hubris of those writing this manifesto. How could we possibly abandon these liberal European ideas? Because they've been tried here just as they've been tried in Europe, and they are failing here just as they are failing in Europe. The difference is that we in America and they in Britain have the good sense, at least about half of the population there has good sense to say these are failing, it's not working, the experiment has failed, we need to try something new for the sake of the life of our people. But this reveals the haughtiness of the European intellectual ideology. They worship ideas like they worship God. It's not about, does this work? It's about, how do I feel when I talk to my friends about Goethe and Erasmus and Dante? There's only more proof that they've failed in their own words when they say, without Europe, freedom, women's rights, democracy, egalitarianism is hard to defend. Because the historical success of Europe made it a lot easier to defend those values abroad. You could go abroad to places that traditionally don't value things like egalitarianism and democracy, and you can say, look how well Europe has done. Look how well they've done as a result of these values. But without Europe there to hold up as the ideal, you can't make that argument anymore. But instead of thinking, why is that? Why are people turning away from these values in Italy, in France with the Yellow Vests, in Britain with Brexit, in America with Donald Trump, in Hungary with Viktor Orban, in Poland, everywhere else in Eastern Europe? Instead of thinking, why are these things happening? Why are people turning away? They just think, we have to maintain this so that we can continue to evangelize in the name of European classical liberalism, which is failing. Instead of thinking about how they can change their governments, how they can change their messaging, what direction they need to take things in the future, they think, how can we trick people into holding on to these failed, antiquated ideas? In true intellectual fashion, however, they don't have any solutions. They simply say, we cannot resign ourselves to this catastrophe. We can't resign ourselves to this catastrophe. But they have no solutions, because there are no solutions. We've tried this experiment in America. We've tried it in Britain. We've tried it in France. We've tried it in Germany. It's been tried out through the whole of Europe. And it's not working People are turning away from it in droves for a reason, because it has not worked. These governments, these people, these intellectuals have sold the souls of their populations on the altar of this liberal idea. And what we need to understand is that it's not just liberalism in the modern iteration. It's not just open borders, high taxes, etc. It's all forms of liberalism which cause these ills in our society. That's what they're talking about, though. And they talk about pluralism, religious toleration, all of these different things which are wrapped up in the European sense of traditional classical liberalism. These are all at the root of the failures of modern liberalism that we see today. The problem in Europe and in America is ideology like this. It's intellectuals with no solutions. It's intellectuals that want to hold on to their ideology like a religion. They look at ideas like they look at God. In fact, their ideas are God. They worship them as gods. And even when they're proved wrong, they will find some dogmatic interpretation in order to prove that they're actually right. In order to move forward, in order to restore prosperity and sovereignty in the Western world, not only do we have to rid ourselves of institutions like the European Union or the United Nations, we also have to rid ourselves of thinking and thinkers like this. My name is Jake Lloyd, reporting for newswars.com.
InfoWars. Tomorrow's news today.
Support good oral health with our one-of-a-kind Super Blue fluoride-free products. InfoWars Life brings you a revolutionary toothpaste blend with iodine and nano silver designed to deliver a powerful clean. Enjoy a minty fresh flavor made with peppermint oil, or try our bubblegum flavor. Pair this groundbreaking toothpaste with the Super Blue fluoride-free mouthwash and supercharge your oral health. Our amazing mouthwash features natural oils and ancient ingredients used since Aboriginal and biblical times. Instead of containing fluoride, our Super Blue line is loaded with the good halogen iodine and an array of other beneficial compounds that have been hand-selected for their oral health benefits. Super Blue fluoride-free mouthwash and toothpaste are the first and only to contain all of these natural ingredients: xylitol, nano silver, and iodine. Notice the difference with our Super Blue fluoride-free products. Refresh your breath and invigorate your oral health routine at InfoWarsStore.com. That's InfoWarsStore.com.